What happens when America's sweetheart walks into an interview that goes completely off the rails? Buckle up, because what I'm about to share will make you question everything you thought you knew about live television. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this story twists and turns like a country ballad. Picture it. Today with Jenna and Friends is running its usual upbeat morning lineup. Carrie Underwood walks on stage, radiant in a cream-colored blazer, her signature blonde waves perfectly styled. The audience buzzes with excitement, phones out, cameras rolling, as Jenna Hager greets her guest with that warm, familiar smile. "Carrie, it's so wonderful to have you back on the show," Jenna begins, brimming with cheerful energy. "Your fans are dying to know about your upcoming tour and this new album everyone's talking about." Carrie settles in gracefully, crossing her legs and flashing that $1,000,000 smile. "Oh, Jenna, thank you so much for having me. I always love being here with you and your incredible audience." The opening minutes are exactly what you'd expect. Lighthearted chatter about new singles, family life, tour dates. Carrie is polished, charming, funny, everything the audience came to see. But then, Jenna leans forward, and suddenly, her expression shifts. The energy in the room tilts. "You know, Carrie," Jenna says carefully, "I have to ask you about something that's been circulating online. There are some serious allegations about your charitable foundation and where the donations are actually going." The smile doesn't fade from Carrie's face, but if you're watching closely, you can see it. The subtle tightening of her jaw. "I'm sorry. What allegations are you referring to exactly, Jenna?" Jenna pulls out her phone. Unprofessional, jarring. "Well, there's an investigative report suggesting that less than 30% of your foundation's donations reach the intended recipients. The rest? Administrative costs. And let's just say some very luxurious office spaces." The temperature in the studio drops. Off camera, Carrie's publicist is frantically signaling the production team. This was not part of the plan. "Jenna, I think there's some confusion here," Carrie replies, her southern charm still intact but edged with steel. "My foundation has always been transparent. We publish detailed reports every year." But Jenna doubles down. "Funny you should mention that. I have those reports right here. And according to them, your foundation spent more on office furniture last year than on actual charity work. How do you explain a $20,000 conference table when you're supposed to be helping underprivileged children?" The audience shifts uncomfortably. Some keep recording, others glance toward the exits. This is no longer morning TV fluff. This is a showdown. Carrie inhales deeply, struggling to keep composure. "Jenna, I'm shocked you would ambush me with accusations like this on live television without giving me or my team a chance to respond properly. This isn't journalism. This is a hit job. I'm just asking questions your fans deserve. Answers too," Jenna shoots back, her tone sharp, almost smug. "Your entire brand is built on being charitable and wholesome. Don't your supporters have a right to know where their money is going?" That's when Carrie's polished exterior cracks. Her accent thickens, a telltale sign to those who know her best. "My supporters are some of the most generous, kind-hearted people in the world, and I will not stand here while you imply that I would take advantage of their trust. Behind the scenes, the production crew is in chaos, but the cameras are still rolling." Jenna doesn't stop. "I'm not implying anything, Carrie. I'm citing facts. Your foundation took in over $2 million last year, and only $600,000 went to charitable activities." That's the breaking point. Carrie pushes back her chair with a sharp scrape that echoes across the studio. She rises to her feet. You know what, Jenna? I came here today to talk about my music, my tour, to connect with my fans and bring some joy. I did not come here to be ambushed with accusations and incomplete information. I will not continue this conversation. The room falls silent. The only sound is the hum of the cameras. Even the audience stops murmuring. Everyone in that studio knows they are witnessing something unforgettable. Live television history in the making. Jenna looks up at Carrie, who now towers over her, and for the first time, there's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Carrie, please, sit down. Let's discuss this like adults. But Carrie shakes her head, blonde hair catching the studio lights as it sways. No, Jenna, we're done here. But we still have 15 minutes left in the segment. Jenna protests, glancing nervously at the cameras. Carrie's hands move with sharp precision as she unclips her microphone. Then I suggest you find something else to fill that time. Because I will not sit here and let you drag my name through the mud with half-truths and sensational headlines. The tension is suffocating now, thick enough to slice with a knife. Carrie's security team edges closer. The producers hover at the corners of the set, their panic visible to anyone watching. Jenna makes one last attempt. Carrie, if there are inaccuracies in these reports, this is your chance to set the record straight. Millions of fans are watching right now. Carrie freezes mid-motion, then turns her gaze directly into the camera. My fans know me. They know my heart. They know that everything I do is about helping people, not hurting them. I don't need to justify my work to someone more interested in creating drama than reporting the truth. She turns back to Jenna, her eyes sharp as glass. But some people would rather tear down than build up. Some would rather destroy than create. And that, Jenna, her voice drops to a dangerous whisper, says more about your character than it ever will about mine. The color drains from Jenna's face. For the first time since the interview began, she looks rattled, realizing she may have gone too far. Carrie, you're overreacting. I'm just doing my job as a journalist. Carrie lets out a laugh, but it's cold, humorless. Your job? Your job is to inform people, not ambush guests with gossip dressed up as journalism. When exactly did the Today Show turn into TMZ? The audience gasps. Audible, collective shock ripples through the studio. America's sweetheart just took a scalpel to morning television, and everyone knows it. Jenna tries to recover. I understand you're upset, but these are legitimate questions. The public has a right to know how major foundations use their money. The public has a right to accurate information. Carrie snaps, yanking off her microphone and letting it drop onto the coffee table with a loud, final thud. Not cherry-picked data twisted into a scandal. At that moment, a producer with a headset steps cautiously into frame, voice barely steady. Ladies, perhaps we should take a quick commercial break. Carrie whirls toward her, her voice like ice. No, absolutely not. I will not sit quietly backstage while you figure out how to spin this mess. I'm leaving, and I'm leaving now. Jenna rises, desperate to regain control. Carrie, please. We can talk about this off camera. Maybe this is all just a misunderstanding. Oh, it's a misunderstanding, all right, Carrie says, grabbing her purse from beside the chair. The misunderstanding is that I thought this show respected its guests and operated with integrity. The cameras are still rolling. The director is almost certainly screaming in the control room, but no one dares cut away. This is television. Gold. At the far end of the couch, Jenna's co-host, who's been sitting in tense silence, finally tries to intervene, voice meek. Carrie, I think what Jenna was trying to say is that transparency is important for public figures. Carrie turns to her slowly, fixing her with a stare that could freeze fire. Her voice drops, lower, sharper. Transparency? You wanna talk about transparency? Let's talk about how this show ambushed me without warning. Let's talk about how you threw around accusations. You clearly didn't verify or even understand. Where's the transparency in that? The co-host shrinks back into her seat, regretting she spoke at all. The audience, spellbound, doesn't move a muscle. Jenna makes one last, desperate attempt to salvage her authority. Carrie, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know how to research a story. 15 years. Carrie arches an eyebrow, her tone dripping with disbelief. And in all that time, did you ever learn the difference between investigative journalism and a witch hunt? Did you ever learn that accusations require evidence, not suspicion? The studio is dead silent. The audience watches them like it's a tennis match, heads swiveling back and forth. Some still hold up their phones, but others have lowered them, too stunned to even record. Carrie starts toward the exit, but Jenna won't let go. So you're just going to run away instead of addressing these concerns? That stops Carrie, cold. She turns slowly, her expression so fierce it could wither steel. Run away? Her voice is low, dangerous. Lady, I've spent 20 years building a career on honesty, hard work, and helping others. I've donated millions of my own money to charity. I've walked into hospitals, schools, and shelters, not with cameras, but with my heart. I've raised awareness for causes that desperately needed it, and never, not once, have I taken a single penny meant for charity and used it for personal gain. The fact that you'd suggest otherwise without proof tells me everything I need to know about you. Jenna opens her mouth, but Carrie cuts her off with a raised hand. I'm not finished. You want to talk about administrative costs? Let's. Every legitimate charity has them. It takes staff, offices, and systems to make sure money actually reaches the people who need it. My foundation employs 12 full-time staffers. Good people who left higher-paying jobs because they believe in our mission. That so-called $20,000 conference table? It was donated. We use it to plan million-dollar grants that change lives. She steps forward, her voice rising with conviction. You want numbers? Last year we built 3 schools in Tennessee. We gave over 200 scholarships. We funded music programs in districts where they were about to disappear. We delivered instruments to kids who never dreamed of owning one. That is where the money went, Jenna. The audience begins to murmur. The mood is shifting. Carrie's passion is undeniable. Even crew members nod subtly along. But you didn't mention any of that, did you? Carrie's tone sharpens, cutting. You didn't talk about the children learning in classrooms we built, or the kids finding hope through music. No, you cherry-picked office furniture. That was your story. Jenna flushes crimson. Those details matter, Carrie. Donors deserve to know how their money is spent. You're right, Carrie says, surprising everyone. They do. That's why we publish full annual reports. That's why we undergo third-party audits. That's why we have an A+ rating with charity watchdogs. She pulls out her phone, scrolling quickly. Would you like me to pull it up right now? To show your viewers the independent verification, accountability, transparency, financial health, A+ across the board. She lifts the phone toward the camera. But I guess that doesn't make for good TV, does it, Jenna? Jenna looks gutted, but pride won't let her retreat completely. Even if your ratings are strong, the questions are still valid. Carrie lowers her phone, voice steady, razor sharp. The questions would be valid if they were asked in good faith. But this wasn't about answers. This was about a viral moment. And you know it. The words hang in the air like smoke. Jenna's eyes flick to the cameras, then back to Carrie. And in that instant, the entire studio realizes Carrie has landed the fatal blow. "I don't know what you're implying," Jenna says weakly. Carrie pounces. "Not implying. Stating facts. Your show's ratings have been slipping. Morning television is more cutthroat than ever. And desperate producers chase controversy to get people talking." The co-host shrinks into her seat, wishing she could disappear. The audience is transfixed, watching a masterclass in dismantling a hostile interview. Carrie takes one slow, deliberate step closer to Jenna, her voice dropping to a whisper that the microphones catch with chilling clarity. "You thought you could take down America's sweetheart with a half-baked conspiracy about charity fraud. You thought I would just sit here and take it because that's what good girls do, right?" Carrie's words slice through the silence like glass. Jenna doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. Her silence is louder than anything she could say. "Well, here's the thing, Jenna." Carrie presses on, her voice steady but building with force. "I didn't get where I am by being a pushover. I got here by outworking everyone else in the room, by being honest with the people who support me, and by refusing to compromise my values for anyone." She rises from her chair and begins to walk toward the exit, her heels clicking like a countdown. "And my values tell me I don't have to sit here and be disrespected by someone who clearly did zero actual research before trying to smear my name on live television." The cameras swing desperately to follow her. The production team looks like they've just watched their entire morning show go up in flames. Carrie pauses at the edge of the set. "You know what the real tragedy is here? The real tragedy is that there are scams out there. There are organizations exploiting people's generosity. But instead of exposing them, you decided to go after someone whose only crime is being successful and visible." Jenna's voice trembles as she makes one final grab at control. "Carrie, if I got something wrong, I'll issue a correction." Carrie actually laughs. It's sharp, amused, but not the least bit kind. "A correction? After you just tried to burn down my reputation on national television? That's like setting someone's house on fire and then offering to call the fire department." The audience erupts in laughter and murmurs of agreement. The tide has completely turned. "Here's what's going to happen," Carrie says now, pivoting her focus directly to the cameras. "I'm going to walk out of this studio, and I'm going to keep doing what I've always done. I'll keep making music that brings joy to people's lives. I'll keep supporting causes I believe in, and I'll keep being transparent about every cent that goes through my foundation." She levels her gaze back at Jenna. "And you'll have to live with the fact that you tried to tear down someone who spent her entire career building others up." The studio falls dead silent. Even the crew has stopped moving. Carrie smooths her blazer, adjusts her bag, then turns toward the audience. "To everyone who came here today expecting music and laughter, I'm sorry you got an ambush instead. You deserved better." She takes a few steps, then looks back one last time, and to my fans watching, please know your trust means everything to me. Everything I do with you in mind. Your support has allowed me to change lives, and I will never take that for granted." "Carrie, please don't leave like this," Jenna blurts, desperation leaking through. Carrie stops, turns, and looks at her with something closer to pity than anger. I'm leaving exactly like this. Because this is who I am. I don't pretend to be perfect, but I don't pretend to be something I'm not. When someone attacks me with lies, I fight back. When someone tries to use me for ratings at the expense of my reputation, I walk away. And when someone shows me who they really are... Her eyes cut straight through Jenna. I believe them. With that, Carrie strides off behind the cameras, leaving Jenna stranded at the desk, pale and stunned. The audience doesn't know whether to clap, cheer, or just sit frozen. Finally, the co-host clears her throat, voice trembling. Well, that was certainly unexpected. Jenna attempts to recover, forcing her voice steady. We'll be right back after this commercial break. But everyone can see it. The damage is done. She just got dismantled, live, by one of the biggest stars in country music. The producer frantically signals for a cut. As the broadcast fades, an off-mic voice echoes through the chaos. What just happened? What the hell just happened? And that right there is how you handle a hostile interview. That's how you stand tall when someone tries to drag you down for their own gain. Carrie didn't just walk off that set. She walked off with her dignity unshaken, leaving Jenna exposed as exactly what she was. A desperate host willing to risk her credibility for a few cheap rating points. So tell me, was Carrie right to walk out? Or should she have stayed and fought it out to the bitter end? Drop your thoughts below.